Welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. Where you at?
I froze.
I can tell.
It's a glitch in the system. It must be those lasers in Hawaii.
They zapped right in the spot of your brain.
Right, they zapped me.
I love the look. I've got it on my screen.
We don't know, guys.
Face.
We're talking about it today. What is it? What could be the thing? Now,
was it?
There's definite things that are happening behind the scenes. I always take it to never let a good crisis go to waste. I think that's what's happening.
Absolutely.
But we're going to get into all that today. Welcome to Self-Evident Podcast, live from Hope Tower. Thank you so much
from Hope Tower.
for our sponsors, such as Prescription Hope and others, who are helping us do what we do because we need you. So, guys, go online to theselfevidenttruth.com. Become a part of our email list. Get on the email list. Make sure you're reading everything we're putting out, blogs, dates, all this other stuff. We're going to be in Missouri next weekend.
I cannot wait.
I can. God, I don't know when we'll be preaching. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's true. We're still working that out. But don't worry, Missouri. We got you covered. Which, yeah, I got the camera. There we are.
Yeah.
Hi. How are you? Anyways, do not forget to go to theselfevidenttruth.com and get yourself some merch, some merchandise.
Dude, you guys gotta support the daggum thing. Okay?
Would you just buy a shirt?
It's all we need you to do.
It's all you had to do. You had one job.
Any man of mine will buy a shirt from them.
Don't forget also you can get the book.
What's up?
Become Forged. Go ahead, pick it up on theselfevidenttruth.com.
You've been selling some, man. You said like 4 or 5 orders here just recently. Look at you, man.
See, thank you to you, the fans. Order a book, and don't forget to leave a review. If you've read it, if you're reading through it, you like it, you hate it, leave
use
a review.
it as toilet paper.
Yeah, let me know how it does wiping. So, but either way, go get a book.
Are the Amazon sheets 2-ply or 4-ply? We don't know. Let us know in the comments.
Let's find out. It sounds like a new YouTube channel. Does this work as toilet paper? Anyways.
You're right, Lisa. Too much coffee. I will agree. You can't ever have enough, you know?
No, we can't.
You got to put some down the yapper in the morning to get the yapper moving.
Yeah.
Amen? That's what...
And you want to lay on the conviction a little bit more. Chris Jackson says, "Good morning, mighty men of God." Boy,
I love that.
Now I feel like I have to shape up.
Did he say muddy men of God or mighty?
Mighty. Although I feel more muddy
than
moment.
mighty. Yeah. Guys, thank you again for tuning in. Listen, we've got some big things coming down the queue here. We got them coming down the gullet. We're going to be filling you in on all the things happening in the stuff. And we have some big goals in front of us. We're hoping that you guys will help us through your help, through your prayer, through your sponsorship, all these things. Guys, I'm just going to let the cat out.
Go.
We're working on a children's curriculum, a K-6 curriculum for kids that is comprehensive that parents can do. We're actually working on it with parents, in conjunction with parents as well, who homeschool. And as well as just a Bible study for getting our kids to understand biblical foundations of government and what that looks like, so we can raise them in that, so that they're smart, so that they understand what government is supposed to do. But the other things we're working on too is we just released this thing called Strike Force. If you have not seen it, we'll put it on the website soon. We just released it in church. This organization is birthed out of Self-Evident. It is for churches to get involved in the public sphere. How do we do that? How do we do it? And being the hands and feet of Christ. So we have some needs, man. We're going to need your help, and I'm praying you guys will be behind us. I know you will, and so we're grateful for that. So we're going to be releasing some of those details in a little bit. Just be prepared for that. And you want to share this video right now. Make an effort to share this video.
Share.
Get it out there. Let's get these comments rolling, and why are we wasting time?
Yeah, let's do this. We're going to set a timer. Are you guys setting a timer for us, or am I doing it? Producers? All right, here we go. Number 1, taxpayers pay for demons. What? An art museum in Minneapolis, mind you, sponsored by millions in taxpayer funding, invited families to participate in a playful ceremony to summon and befriend their demon, because this will end well. Following the instruction of children and adults on how to construct a vessel to hold their demons earlier this month, the Walker Art Center indicated Lilith, the empathetic demon, will come from the dark side of the moon to lead you in locating your feelings using ancient Babylonian techniques. This collective and playful demon summoning session will include with a somatic movement meditation designed to help you befriend your shadows. The artist is claiming the demon, connected to ancient Babylon, Acadia, and others, came to her while pregnant, and now she's taking on the persona of the demon and through text message interacting with several hundred people every month who frequently write back with snippets about their lives and demons. Because that's what you want your taxpayer dollars to go to.
Listen, because taxpayer money can't go to Christian organizations.
No,
certainly we
heck
don't want
no.
Christians involved in the civil realm.
No.
But throw some demons in there.
Yeah,
and
it's
name
fun.
Them, and
it's
name
playful.
them by name.
Yes, that's what she doesn't spell it the full like Lilith. She spells it Lilith. What do you think she's talking about? If you have any idea about like demons and myth and all of that, you're gonna know the one she's talking about. Yeah, that's the one she's talking about. And it's like I had this conversation. I want to take a bit of a side on this. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. I think there's Christians who are like, this is insane. This has never happened before. The thing is, like, America was an exception to the rule in terms of, like, we're putting God on high. We're not getting mixed up in all of that idol worship and all of that, the ancient demons and the pagan worship and all that. What you're witnessing today is there's a return to the way the rest of the world has done it since the beginning of time. That's
Truth.
What's going on. That's really what this is. So this is nothing new. This is ancient. This is how things were done ancient. And unfortunately, America's just going back towards that.
I think that's yes. Now, gods cannot have power that we don't give them, these demons, right? So we could say that they are these things, but bottom line is if you can name them what they are, but they're all coming from the same pit. So we have a spiritual warfare to fight.
Yes.
So don't be afraid now. Now's the time to push forward, you know?
And especially as Christians, we need to, if we have conversations with people where they're like, oh, you know, we're going to go to the summoning demons thing. It's having that conversation of, you think you are going to be in control of this whole thing and it's going to be your friend or your partner. But what you're really doing is giving ownership of yourself to the demon, right? And that's a whole conversation.
I know.
On a related topic,
Florida makes sandwiches?
Florida LGBT
BLT.
sandwiches goes for Moms for Liberty. We're wrapping it all in there.
Wrapping.
Equality Florida started a new group named Parenting with Pride. Get it? This group will take on the extremist hate group Moms for Liberty by standing up for LGBTQR plus Q7 students and teachers and fight to end banning books. I love that Moms for Liberty is defined as extremist hate group. It's like moms.
Yeah.
Minivans.
You know those gun-toting moms?
Yeah. The real extremists.
Dropping their kids off at soccer and then they go to a school meeting because they want to be involved in their kids' life as much as these guys want to get involved in their kids' lives. Because, you know, we're strictly attacking LGBTQ people as conservatives, right? I mean, it's only them. Only them, right? This is... yeah.
And one more. Ramaswamy is based. So confronted by an LGBTQC7R96 VTEC 6-speed journalist about Transformers 17 Rise of the Gender Bots, Ramaswamy said... I had fun writing that one.
These are those moments I wish we had sound effects. We gotta get sound effects, dude.
Gentlemen,
Transformers.
getting on it.
That's terrible. That's
awesome.
All right. Ramaswamy said, and I quote, "Trans is fundamentally in tension with gay, if you ask me." He also said, "In the name of protecting against tyranny of the majority, we've created a new tyranny of the minority." He also said, "I don't think that somebody who is religious should be forced to officiate a wedding that they disagree with." He added, "I don't think somebody who is a woman who has worked really hard for her achievements should compete against a biological man in a swim competition." He continued, "I don't think somebody who is a woman that respects her bodily autonomy and dignity should be forced to change clothes in a locker room with a man. That is not freedom, that's oppression." In an interview on Fox afterwards, he said, "If gender dysphoria is such a condition of suffering, then why on earth are we going out of our way to create even more of it by spreading this ideology through young kids in our schools?"
That's based.
That's based. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I am impressed.
I'm impressed.
I'm more impressed that we know what base is.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Watching these videos on these kids, my kids, they come up with these words like, that's gas.
That's
oh, bro,
gas, bro.
that's trash. That's bussin'.
Bro.
Dad, I got Riz.
Bro.
It's just the
Anyway.
language of a teenager.
I thought for sure I would have caught on to this. Like, I'm not going to be one of those dads that doesn't. Yeah. Oh, I'm so way beyond this, dude.
The system moves faster than we can.
Laurel's saying, my 15-year-old daughter, Ellie, and I are dying over here. Thanks, guys. Dude, like, I'm trying here. Like, they're like, my youngest son, he's 10. He just turned 10 yesterday. And he's always like, bruh, that's trash, bro. Like, what?
I love when he gets excited. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, she's talking about the Transformers.
Oh, yes. Yes. 1 point for
That's
the Transformers joke.
Anyways,
Autobots
like this whole
roll out.
this whole narrative of kids is pretty insane, and it's insane. Okay,
Insanity. Can you roll for a second? I gotta find something.
yeah. So, guys, listen.
Before I do this, I gotta do the sponsorship. But
We wanted to let you know again what we're coming up with. What we're doing is we're rolling out 2 brand new programs, which we did not even have so much in our queue, but for this year's vision, but we ended up pivoting and doing this. We still have things on our vision plan we have not yet accomplished, which we want to do, like schools. We haven't really, we've only done a couple of like private schools. We want to do more of those. If you guys have any contacts for that, let us know. We'd love to get in. I'm hoping we can get into a college this year. I can't let that out of the bag just yet, but that'd be great. But again, look for the emails, look for the podcast coming out. And we're going to do another day of fasting. Which day did we pick?
September, sure. 29th.
29th it was.
I'm going to get
September
pillory
29th, we're going to do, a national day of prayer and fasting,
Yes,
kind of
29th.
like the last format that we did. So stay tuned for that, you guys. We want you to be a part of it. We're so grateful that you're a part of it. And all the things. You know, I mean, all the things.
All right, let's do our sponsorship. So, guys, imagine a little girl named Manny. We've talked about this, and I want you to just really put yourself in this position. Imagine a little girl tragically shot during a brutal attack on her Christian village in Nigeria. We in America, we don't have to put up with this, right? Other people in the world do. Her family gone, her future uncertain, and yet she has survived. This is the tragedy in Nigeria when Christian communities are being terrorized. Now, amidst the darkness, there is a hope that remains. This hope is named Equipping the Persecuted. This is a tireless global nonprofit battling this unspoken crisis, offering support to victims like Manny. So maybe you can't go help physically, you can help in other ways.
Right.
Their mission to end this devastating cycle of violence. They reached the scene within 48 hours of an attack. Could you imagine that? Wherever an attack is, they're there 48 hours offering emergency response and long-term support. But they need something to do this. That's resources. So for $25 a month or more, you can help Manny and kids like her to get the medical care they desperately need. This fight, faith remains our beacon. Equipping the Persecuted shares the gospel, empowering believers, and offering hope where it's needed most. So visit equippingthepersecuted.com. Again, that is equippingthepersecuted.com. Visit it today. Make a difference with a monthly donation of $25 or more. Okay? Reach out. Check out the website, equippingthepersecuted.com. Even if you can't go to Africa, you can still help these Christians. We're all brothers and sisters. It's time to help. Okay?
Come on.
Game on.
I like it, guys. Keep doing this stuff. We so love that you're supporting this ministry and many more like this to continue to go out there and spread the gospel, preach the gospel, but also protect those who are who can't be protected right now.
Amen.
And they need it. So, guys, we're getting into Hawaii. Now, hat tip to Krista Kin. I don't want to say her last name because I think she does it on purpose. She tipped me off to, hey, I was listening to y'all's podcast about the Hawaii fires. We were both like very somber about it. We don't really know much about it. And y'all know us. We don't just because the media says something, we wait about a week. I do that with everything.
Yeah.
I do that with people, like, you know, being in a pastor in a church, when something happens, like a death or something, I wait a week because they get so bombarded. So I wait a little while. let the storm calm down a little bit. Then I go over and say, hey, man, I purposely wait so I don't bombard you. But here in this situation as well, the Hawaii situation, right away, I had questions like, this doesn't make sense. And Mike's like, yeah, I mean, I see your point, but, it's summer, things happen, blah, blah, blah. But have we ever seen a wildfire like this in its history? I don't know. I mean, so we're going to go talk about what happens in Hawaii. And no, we don't have a prophetic unction on it or anything like that. We're not saying that's bad. We're just saying we're going to talk about it from fact and what we see is happening and what we could predict, I suppose.
And what we've found, because I think a lot of times what happens is you get a YouTube video or a TikTok video that's like, this is what happened, and that's about a 10% of the story. We're going to give our verdicts, and we may disagree on the verdict. However, that doesn't mean we have all the information. And like he's saying, yeah, we tend to wait a week, and I think a week, give or take, of like, hey, let's let things sift out. Let's hear the story. Let's figure out what's going on. We do have some video from it that I think is useful to see because it does fill in some spots. And we'll hard charge into this, okay? So there has been a lot of talk about the Hawaii wildfires. We've heard things like climate change, land grabs, even space lasers. People are like, and of course there are videos and photos or whatever going around of this space laser going like that. And don't trust it, okay? Just don't trust that. And I think it's good to be skeptical, not just of official narrative, but of conspiracy theories.
Agreed.
Right? And so I think before we get started, we've got to discuss something that is burned into people's brains and it's catching like a contagion. I'm not against the idea that there is an ulterior motive in something. I tend to ascribe it to this is an opportunity, right?
The reason why is because he's white. White people always have the ulterior motives. It's us Mexicans, blacks, and Asians that always get caught in the middle of it.
We're just better at 4D chess.
That was a joke, you guys. Crying in the mud. Come on.
These guys
That's a
are
joke.
so racist. What is this?
It's a joke, man. Jeez.
So and one of the things I wanted to address, and Massey, I want you to chime in on this, is, and we saw this on both sides. We tend to see a jump in logic, a jump to conclusions.
Sure.
And especially when disaster strikes, and we automatically assume somebody is playing 4D chess with this.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I think what happens is because we've been done over so bad by government in so many instances.
Which is so true.
And then especially when you begin to question government, they come to retaliate. And they retaliate not just by saying you're false, then they falsely name you, then they call you an extremist and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, the Christian gets pissed off because they're like, what are you talking about, bro? It's in the Old Testament is filled with conspiracies where the king conspired against the Lord, the king conspired against his people. That over and over and over again. Governments have done this for history. I remember one of the first times I ever questioned 9/11. Let's get into this for a minute, okay? When I questioned 9/11, was it a plane? Was it a rocket? I remember all these things we were going through and sifting through. You know what I came to the conclusion of? I don't know. I don't know what it was. I do know this, though. Government never missed the opportunity to get its hands in there and strip the rights of the people. And that's what's happening in Hawaii right now. So could it be government? Yeah. I mean, I could say because it's so crazy how they have plans set up in place to do these things. And all of a sudden, poof, out of nowhere. Right. Something happens with Biden, his son, bam, something crazy happens, right? It's like you see all these things and you go, look, you can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. But there's something also that's called deception. And Satan deceived Eve and deceived Adam, okay? They both were deceived by a serpent, okay? Now, is the government a serpent? Absolutely. It's a wildfire, George Washington said. Government is terrible, dude. Yeah. Especially in the position it's in now. But we don't know if the government did it or shot lasers or is it China? I don't know. But here's what I do know. They're not wasting any time to get involved and try to capitalize on this kind of an event.
And I think one of the warnings I want to make is we saw this with school massacres. Every single one can be labeled a false flag. And I think we jump into unuseful territory when we believe that every single thing is a 4D chess move by the government. Now, does the government commit false flags? Do they do these things?
Of course.
Of course. Just like he's saying, absolute deception. But they're also super incompetent at times.
Right.
So.
But you've also, like, we've read the Archipelago. What is it? The
Gulag Archipelago.
Yeah. You've read that book. You've read excerpts and stories of how governments came up against their people. Look at the nation of Germany and, Hitler's own, destroying the Jews and the gypsies and things.
Right.
Yes, we've seen this happen in the past. So they've just gotten more coy with it, right? Where now the Twitter files are saying that the government was involved in shutting down a lot of what is the government doing shutting down people's voices?
Right.
In the Twitter files. So, and none of that, what's so funny? That's not a conspiracy. That's actually truth, right? But then the moment you pull it out, see, there you go with extremism. No, I'm realizing something more and more. People who love darkness hate the truth. It just, as I get older, as I do, and that may sound simple to you, but if you think about it in its context, they hate the light. They love darkness rather than the light. Read John 3:19. They love darkness. They love their sin rather than the light. They hated being exposed. And and then they begin to fear God. And because they fear God because of his judgments, they blame God for his standards.
Right.
He's too high. It said that's impossible. That's insane. Your God is too harsh. That's legalism. Seriously.
But we'll be super harsh on you. And I guess my point in all of this is, like, be careful of the assumptions you make and determine what's useful for you and what's not. Because we looked at a lot of people who followed the whole Q thing. How useful was that? And how useful did that end up being? And a lot of times there's a mix of truth and assumption that gets swirling around, and I feel like this Hawaii thing is the same thing. So they're building off things like there are reports of investors and real estate agents swooping in to purchase destroyed land. There are reports of insurance companies denying claims. There are reports of government assistance requests being rejected because insurance company isn't getting back with the estimates. There are reports of some bodies being so decimated that they can't even get dental records. They were already building smart city infrastructure in the city, such as EV charging stations, etc. This means the fire destroyed all of that infrastructure. There are obviously fake photos swirling around of lasers and rockets that have been getting passed around.
They're fake?
Sorry, newsflash.
You see Victoria's comment?
No, I had another screen.
Go look it up. It says, she said this on Self-Evidence page. If you guys go there, you guys can click on. And the more you click on these pages and search it on the search engines, it gives the views. So continue to do that. She said, we have friends who own property there and are on the mainland. They are fighting to keep their land, being told they can't rebuild due to zoning changes. Pray they all stand together.
And
isn't that something?
We're going to get into that type of thing. And all these things that I listed, we're gonna talk about those at the end of it. And I think the question for us, and especially the people living there, is what to do next, or what is the agenda behind the whole thing, right? Oof. More so than the cause of it. Because I think people are getting so wrapped up in the cause of it that they're forgetting, okay, what's the next step? I do want to queue up a video that was on Twitter that seems to be towards the very beginning of the Maui fires. And we're going to talk about the plausible explanation of how it started. Go ahead and roll it, bro.
Oh, this is live right across the street from my house. Freaking power line just went down. Tried my little water hose, but well. Yeah, it's going. I don't know. Hopefully they get him out. So now they're trying to warn the guy to have him get out of his house. Oh. Flames going on the other side. Police trying to get in. just got our power back on. See them right there. That's the power line that started from up the road there, and all of that is still burning. Okay, fire truck still never come yet.
All right. So, to me, that's an important video in this whole context because when we look at the power company, and there's a whole lot of different things that went on. This power company, I'm kind of bouncing around because we'll get to the whole. There was a conference there in January, and there's been some comments about what was going on at the conference. But this power company, okay, how do I say this? They've been under the eye for several years now of not maintaining their equipment and not having upkeep. And they actually had a downed power line a couple years ago that had started a wildfire that burned, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I want to say like 900 acres of land, right? And there are lawsuits pending now against the power company for these downed power lines in this whole wildfire thing. If you notice, the grass and the land around it is dry, brown, kindling type grass, right? And they've been rated in a drought lately in that area. So these are things that are important to know, especially when we hear the whole space laser thing. This is important stuff to know. Now, there are other issues that I think really do, especially in terms of the ownership of the land that we've got to look at. And so we're going to go for you, man. Number 6, we've done the claims. All right. Some are claiming, or number 5, actually. Wherever it is.
I just dropped it.
Okay.
No, it's number 6 twice.
Yeah, number 6 twice. That's the competency of self-evident.
Easy.
I was the one who wrote it, so.
Great, right, though.
The man in charge of the emergency systems did not turn on the emergency sirens, claiming that he was afraid people would try to evacuate toward the mountains, which would have been directly into the flames. Now, he has resigned. I saw a news article this morning saying he has resigned. He came out yesterday saying, well, I didn't do it because, they would have run for the hills because those emergency sirens are for like flooding and
stupid. That's what the emergency things are for.
I know. And you're telling me people won't walk out their door and see glow on the mountains?
Stupid. See, that's what I'm talking about. This is how I know government never lets a good crisis go to waste. This is what I'm saying. It's easy to assume, okay, government did it. Because that is the lamest excuse. Anybody, dude, that's like the Titanic guy saying, I just thought if I alarmed the whole ship, people would have...
They'd drown.
How stupid. This is what he just said it. You think government did this? Look how incompetent they are.
That's the one thing that I can't help but fall back on. I believe government has committed false flags. They've done deception. They've done 4D.
But they're stupid.
All right. Also,
we need a sound effect. They stupid.
Right. The power was out on everything, including GPS systems, emergency systems, street lights, everything. Now, when the wildfires were going across the island, the Department of Land and Natural Resources was rejecting people's frantic requests to turn on the water so they could try to protect their property. This one's good. The deputy director has gotten philosophical about water equity because that's going to go somewhere good.
Because that water needs rights.
Yes. He claimed an ancient reverence for water as though it's godlike. He has used this explanation as to why he rationalizes keeping tight controls over Hawaiian water supplies, not as a resource to be used, but as a holistic privilege offered.
Can we just throw a little scripture in that?
Yeah, go for it.
Here it is. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against the godlessness and wickedness of the people who suppress the truth in their wickedness. Since what may be known of God is plain to them by the invisible things that he's created, for his eternal divine power and nature having been clearly seen, understood by the things which are made, so that people are without excuse. Although they knew God, they never glorified him as God nor gave him thanks, but their thinking became futile. Their foolish hearts were darkened. Verse 22. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools. Listen. and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings, birds, animals, and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over to their sinful desires. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator. Water is godlike. Water is right. Blah, blah, blah. Who created the water? God. For what? Things like this.
To put out fire.
And this is what happens when we don't uphold the standards of God. This is exactly what happens when we're the ones not standing for truth, right? Those people, this is why I'm saying, we get in trouble here, especially in local Martin County. You Christians should stay out of politics. You know what happens when Christians stay out of politics? That bull crap. And now look what they're saying. The water has rights. Are you serious? Are you serious? Think about this. This is why you need to get involved. We get this all the time. Yep. Why are you guys in churches talking about this? Because you didn't. That's why we're doing this. Oh, that's so why we talk about it. That's why we're pastors doing what we're doing. That's why Pastor Todd and Pastor Jan do what they do. Because we're seeing the issues and we're willing to attack it head on. We're seeing that the Titanic's about to run into an iceberg and we got to say, turn the ship. Turn the ship. You'll be like the people looking at it going, wow, what a nice iceberg. No, turn the ship.
And we're saying, let us turn the ship. And you're going, no, you're not allowed to touch it because you don't wear a captain's hat.
Yeah, you don't have a captain's vest. What are you talking about?
You can't do that.
I got eyes. I got a heart. I got prayer.
I can do this. Anyways.
It's ridiculous. I'm serious. You hear this stuff and you go, that's what happens when we don't get involved. Right. We have mindless folk, and I'm sorry, but this is the truth.
Mindless. This
is mindless ideology. Mindless. Stupid. They're saying that water has rights and is godlike. Listen to this. That men can be women and women. Listen to the insanity of this. Men can get pregnant. Where are we at? What are we doing here? I'm not saying they're winning. They're not winning. They're just getting promoted loud. But your God created the airwaves. The prince of the power of the air, Satan, is under Christ. It's time to start trusting him. It's time to start lifting his name up in the air and saying, this is above. He's above all principality and power. All things are subjected under the will of God. The Bible says he created all things for the benefit of the church. That's our job right now. That's why we do this. It's not because we want to get ahead of some dumb conspiracy theory or say that everything's nefarious. Listen, do you think the government had something to do with this? Maybe they did. But you got some guy saying that the water's a god? Think about that. They don't know. Dude, they're clueless to life.
And do you notice when you start uplifting nature, creatures, creation above God, you'll lift it up above men too. This guy was withholding water which could have saved lives. That's what will happen. That's what we see so often in so many different areas. Oh, well, we've got to uphold this principle, and it ends up sacrificing lives.
Totally. And our kids are at stake, their future is at stake, and God will hold us accountable to it.
Right.
He's going to hold us accountable for what we knew. To he that knows to do good and does it not, to him it is sin. Bottom line. Amen. To he that knows to do good. And here we are in Hawaii. You can't tell me they ain't Christians there going, dude, there's something wrong. Well, then get involved in these areas and stop this mess. Because we can do it. We can do it. We have the power of Christ within us. There's no devil in hell that can defeat Christ. The demons believe and tremble, it says in James 2. Come on, we got to have that kind of authority. Our gospel, Paul said, came not unto you in word only, but also in power and in the Holy Ghost and in much assurance, because you knew what manner of men we were among you, he said. So we got to start standing. That's why we do this. We were, to make it a little bit more lighter, sorry, because I got on a tangent. We're talking about this and we laugh about this kind of stuff. We're like, this is so hilarious. And, Mikey behind the scenes gets so jacked up. But when he comes on the thing, he's like very pro, and I'm the one who goes bonkers. But you got to see him when he talks about this stuff. He's like, this is so ridiculous, Mass. And, sometimes I'm like, hey, but I love it when he has passion. And when we start talking about this, we're like, can you seriously conceive that people are so deceived that they won't do their own homework?
Right. Just 15 seconds and
that's it.
Out the door. And here's to that point, there's something else because you had brought up, somebody had sent this to you, and I did a little homework. Now, I'm not saying I have the final conclusion on this. If you can show me evidence that goes along with this theory, by all means. I want to get to the bottom of it too, right? So there's these claims going around that back in January, there was a summit about smart cities. And this summit seminar was about turning the entire island of Maui into a smart island, or a 15-minute island. We're going to pull that apart a little bit.
Yep.
People determined that since this city was an older town with coveted land space, it was the perfect place to wipe the slate clean, buy up the land, and begin building smart cities and 15-minute cities. Now, the governor has not helped his case in all of this, but we'll get to that. These claims may even point to the fact that the NSA was one of the sponsors of the event. Interesting. But there's some other parts we have to remember. We've got to be careful of these facts. Yes, there was a conference in Maui in January of 2023. It was called the Hawaii International Conference on System Science. What it does is convene scholars from over 60 countries. Is the longest standing working scientific conference on information technology management in the world. A mini track within the conference, and if you've ever been to a conference, there's all kinds of mini tracks. One mini track was titled Smart and Connected Cities and Communities. Now, the claim is that none of the papers written for that mini track were about Maui. Now, I went on and was looking for the papers. This is what I will say. They were supposedly archived, but I couldn't find them. The website was either 404 not found or wouldn't load.
They may have taken them down.
They may have taken them down just because they didn't want scrutiny for an innocent reason, but I'm letting you know that. So this mini track was focusing on places such as Costa Rica, Singapore, and major global cities. However, the city was already undergoing smart city transformation. They were already putting up EV stations, that kind of thing. And a 15-minute city is something a little bit different, where it's a city that you can get to any point in a matter of 15 minutes. It's based on public transportation, AI, all of that. It's a brainchild of urban designers and futurists.
Yeah.
So the question is, if they were already building smart city into this area, why burn it down and burn all of that? Unless you want to wipe the slate clean and rebuild. Maybe.
It could be. I mean, it also is a tax write-off, right? So they'll get the funding back and insurance and all that stuff.
Insurance and all that.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, nefariously, right? You know what happens? We watch all these movies. We're like, yeah, we could see government doing that. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Seriously, like I could see that's smart on their part.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of narcissistic and
a little bit.
What do they call that? Sociopath.
So, yeah.
A little bit of sociopath.
Yeah. Which, you know,
Which
there are
government,
government. I mean,
our government is not. There's nothing wrong with it. We got the best economy in the world. That is sociopath. That's a sociopath.
Free and fair.
There's no folks.
Come on.
GDP lowest it's ever been, folks.
I never had any idea what Hunter was doing.
GDP, it's gross dirty papers.
It costs $4. It's $4. So GDP
that's
is
new.
$4.
That's new toilet paper. Gross dirty paper, folks. It's up 7%.
So the governor of Hawaii said the state was looking to acquire land that was destroyed in the fires. This is interesting. Now, this could either be bad timing, taking opportunity of a crisis, or if you wanted to get nefarious, sure. Go ahead and put this in your column. He vowed to prevent foreign buyers from exploiting the tragedy. I want to read a big portion of what he said so you can hear it. I'm already thinking of ways for the state to acquire that land so that we can put it into workforce housing, to put it back into families, or make it open spaces in perpetuity as a memorial to the people who were lost. Probably not a good thing to say at that point. We want this to be something we remember after the pain passes as a magic place. Lahaina will rebuild. The tragedy right now is the loss of life. The buildings can be rebuilt over time. Even the banyan tree may survive, but we don't want this to become a clear space where the people come from overseas just come and decide they're going to take it. The state will take it and preserve it first.
Wow.
In a separate press conference, Green reiterated his commitment to ensure the land was protected for residents, revealed that he had spoken with the Hawaii Attorney General regarding options to do a moratorium on any sales of properties that have been damaged or destroyed. It's going to be a very long time before any growth or housing can be built, so you will be pretty poorly informed if you try to steal land from our people and then build there. I will try to allow no one from outside our state to buy any land until we get through this crisis and decide what Lahaina should be in the future. Now, what was it? Victoria had posted that we have friends who own property there and on the mainland. They are fighting to keep their land, being told they can't rebuild due to zoning change. My question is, what is the zoning change? Now, that is interesting. Boy, you write out, change the zone.
Yep.
But perhaps that's part of that moratorium to where nobody's going to build, nobody's buying land right now. Let's just settle down.
It's for the government when they're like, we'll decide when that happens.
Isn't that
we'll
annoying?
decide. We'll zone it. What about all those houses? What are you talking about? When all of a sudden you just have the authority over their people's land and their houses?
Right. And somebody pointed out that what a major middle finger to all those residents of you lost your house, you lost all your possessions. Somebody comes in and says, look, I'll give you fair value for that land. I'll pay you above fair value.
Right.
And now the government's saying, no, you can't make that money right now. You just have to continue to fight the insurance company. Who? I believe these reports of the insurance, because I did the math. You're looking, they're saying about over 2,000 structures were destroyed.
Oh,
gosh. Now, these buildings weren't cheap. Let's say each building was worth about $1 million on average. You're looking at $2 billion in insurance claims. That is going to bankrupt insurance companies, which means guaranteed there's insurance. We see it in Florida every single year a hurricane comes through.
Yeah. Well, look what's happening in Florida now. Look how many insurance companies are pulling out of Florida. They're not insuring anymore. We're getting dropped by different companies all the time. So now our mortgage companies have to do it for us, which raises our rates, raises our prices, not our rates, but our prices or our mortgages, right? Because of whatever the situation is. But we're forced to have insurance, yet we can't claim insurance.
Right.
Claims.
They won't let us claim it. And I'm fighting insurance game right now.
Yeah, you are.
There's like 4 companies left in Florida because guess what? The hurricanes keep bankrupting them, but I'm forced to have insurance, even though the insurance company tells me, well, we're not going to really cover it if something happens. I mean, you're going to have to spend tons of money to come after us to actually get your money. So I believe it fully that the insurance companies are fighting people tooth and nail to give this money.
Right. It's not beneficial to them. They're losing. They're losing.
And so we'll go to those points we made back in the beginning. You got reports of investors and real estate agents swooping in to purchase destroyed land. Almost guaranteed. Dude, how many fly-by-night companies do we see come in after a hurricane roofing? They come in by the hundreds. I'll do your roof in a matter of hours, no problem. Of course, all kinds of people are coming in to make money off this. And I would not be surprised if there's companies like BlackRock who are coordinated in this.
Poised for this.
Oh.
See, this is where it's like, okay, we saw the destruction of 2008. I'm talking about our kind of near depressive state in America, right? 07, 08, or was it 06 when the economy dropped? It was 06.
08 was when it dropped out. Yeah.
So it was 08, economy drops. All of a sudden, you saw all these companies these rich people starting buying up properties because the rich know it. The economy is never bad for me.
No.
It's always good for me.
And when the crunch hits like that, it's the perfect time to buy.
They're salivating at this crap. Yeah. They're salivating. They're waiting for their opportunity. Why? So they can capitalize on it. Now, is that government? I mean, why is BlackRock, who is it?
BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
Why are they having such high stakes in a lot of these major companies globally, right? What is it about them, right? Is it government? Is it their lobbying? Is it their money that's forcing situations like this to happen? Listen, if there's going to be lasers, why attack Hawaii? Why not attack New York?
There you go.
I mean, if it's going to be lasers and we're going to say, oh gosh, why don't you just attack New York?
Right. Chinese,
we're not speaking that over New York, okay? I'm saying, why go after Hawaii? Why? Because it's you can't see it, you can't know it. Well, shoot, Gates and them are buying up land all the time, and nobody's really covering it, right? Oil companies are losing money all the time. Nobody's really covering that. Solar companies are losing crazy tons of money right now because it's not sustainable. Even Bill Maher, a Democrat leftist, and I would say it's pretty crazy how he's being more conservative in a lot of ways.
Coming into alignment
is like,
with truth.
dude, he goes, I had the first Prius. I had the first Tesla that came out in the market. They both sucked. You know, he goes, and you know what's so funny? I'm like, I'm going to be the champion that leads the way. Nobody followed me. He said in 21, it was like 75% of the cars that were like wanted on the market were trucks and vans.
Yep.
He's like, people don't want this, right? And they keep pushing this stuff. So if we're going to do this for a smart city, well, there's tons of area in China that's getting destroyed. Why not just destroy that and build a smart city there and try it out?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what's the real motive here?
Right. Exactly. And that's, I believe there's motive of opportunity. I'm guaranteed this land is prime for resorts and upscale development, and you'll see that like coastline development that this town was. Yeah,
That's
it
obvious.
was in the way, right?
That's obvious.
It's obvious. The question is, was it a natural disaster or man-made disaster through incompetence of a power company, right? Allegedly. Was it that? Was it government conspiracy? Was it business conspiracy? Yeah. So there's also reports of government assistance requests being rejected because insurance isn't getting back estimates. Incompetence. But of course, Biden, he promised $700 to each person.
How much has Ukraine gotten?
Billions upon billions.
Oh, like in the 200 billions, right?
Something like that. It's outrageous. And we approved more money to Ukraine right
Through
after.
another bill.
Yes. But Hawaii, feel loved. You get $700. One time, the stimulus checks were better than that.
Which we weren't for.
Right. It's like, anyways. There are reports of some bodies being so decimated that they can't even get dental records. Now, one thing you do have to understand is the more air that flows into fire, the hotter it gets. There are recorded hurricane strength winds that were blowing through, especially early on, which if you get 65 mile per hour winds blowing dry ground, fire's already going, the wind's blowing, it can get really hot.
I got a question.
But could have been lasers.
Hawaii is surrounded by water. Why were they in a drought?
Because they weren't getting rain up on the land.
So they couldn't like tap into the
No,
giant
because water is good, godlike.
I'm saying like you couldn't like siphon water from the.
Get a big long hose.
I mean, I'm no genius here, but buy a few pumps, throw a big old hose out there,
Is it?
and
I pictured the guy in that Twitter video with his hose and the water's just kind of
yeah,
he's like, this isn't gonna do much.
him and his garden hose taking on the.
Right? I'm gonna stop this wildfire.
I do gotta admit, my first reaction to this whole fire thing was like, dude, isn't it pretty green and lush?
Both of us were
like, come on,
"Boy,
you know?"
rainforest tropical type
Yeah.
scenario, right? But I both of us stand corrected because that video was pretty clear. If you look at that ground, man, that's dry brown ground, and that looks perfect kindling for a wildfire. And there is established that they have had wildfires in the past in that area. So our verdict,
We're sorry.
yes, we're sorry.
Is it government? We don't quite rightly know. Here's what we will say. Government's going to take advantage of it because this is what they
Absolutely.
do. And they're waiting for opportunities like this. So whether they create it or they don't create it, they have a mile-long list of how to handle. They're already talking about what to do during the next pandemic. So they may create it or whatever, but they already know what they're going to do for the next one.
Yep.
Okay?
And to that point, remember, we do believe that there are times where there is a coordinated effort to produce a crisis in order to become the solution to the problem. And I'm not going to get into that here. But there are things that yeah.
Can of worms.
Yeah. So, anyways,
This was a good one, Mike.
This
I
was
think,
fun.
Listen, there's a reason, and you guys will know this about us, and they're like, how come they don't cover? Because we're not stupid. We're not just going to jump at every opportunity because someone said something. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean here, but like someone says they got a craw up their butt and said, oh, it's a laser. Or some guy comes on the screen and says, I have a prophetic word. I mean, I don't care
Yeah.
about. I'm like, Lord, what is the facts? So I don't get let off. And then once I understand, okay, there's a basis here. I pray into it. Lord, what are we seeing? Here's what I know. Governments are nefarious. They always are. You just saw how nefariously stupid it was to say we're not going to provide water because it has godlike properties.
And we'll acquire the land so other people can't.
And then to say, here's a little bit of money for you.
Yeah, $700. And do you think the government's really going to pay them fair value, above value, if they try to acquire that land? No, it's going to be pennies on the dollar. Well, I mean, there's no house on the property and it's all burned up and there's a bunch of rubble. I can't give you fair value for that. What? So, I'm with it. I think we nailed it.
We did.
And if
We done
more
good.
information comes out, if good, solid, reliable evidence comes out, go ahead, send it to us. If we see it, we'll let you know. Because if the documents from the CIA come out that they were behind the whole thing, bro, we'll talk about it. I'm glad. I have my feelings about the CIA, right? You guys are awesome, CIA, NSA, FBI. Anybody else? Wink. All right. Anyways, love you guys. We will see you Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody have a great weekend. All right. Love you guys.